Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our Zoom with Beau Pribula. As always, please raise your hand and I will unmute you. We'll start with Rich Garcella.
Thanks, Paul. Good morning, Bo. How are you?
Morning, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Bo, you've talked about how much you've worked on improving your passing, and I was just wondering, where do you think that is, and how important was it for you and for the offense to throw that touchdown pass to Tyler?
I think it's good. I like you said, I put a lot of work in this off season. Like every other off season, physically, throwing the football. And I think it was big, to show that I'm not just in there running the football, but also to a threat to throw as well. So, especially in a moment like that too, just to put them away, I think, that was big to kind of show that overall.
Daniel Gallen.
Morning, Bo. Appreciate the time.
Morning.
When you look at your role in the offense this year, how different does your integration into things feel as opposed to last year when you would get on the field?
Um, Last year, I think from comparing last year's first game to this year's first game, obviously is a lot different in terms of how many snaps that I got. But I think towards the end of the season last year, I was involved more as far as getting in the game in big moments. It's one thing to play at the end of the game when nothing really matters, but to play and get that experience last year in big moments like the Peach Bowl and later in the year like Rutgers and Michigan State. I think that was big to gain that experience and take meaningful snaps. Because when, this past Saturday, it made it a lot easier and more comfortable. It was a lot more comfortable for me to get in there in big moments like the first third down and just various snaps throughout the game. So having that experience last year has helped a lot so far.
Tyler Donahue.
Good morning, Bo. Thank you for your time.
Good morning, of course.
Kind of working off of that question, kind of how does it impact your mindset when you know you're going to be utilized on the first possession? You know you're kind of going to be used often throughout the game versus trying to stay warm, waiting for your package to show up later in the game. How much does that kind of help you, your preparation on game day itself, just knowing that you are standing by for really any snap that you're going to be involved?
Preparation wise, and mindset wise, it hasn't been too different. I've always prepared as if I could go in at any moment because I could. I got to be ready just in case anything were to happen. But it does make it a lot easier knowing, physically running on and off the field all game, just staying warm and, being a part of that rhythm kind of, getting into a rhythm is important. I think that helped a lot, kind of running on and off the field and not having to try to stay loose and warm all game, waiting for my time.
Frank Bodani.
Hey, Bo, good to talk to you. All the different things you did on Saturday, the way it worked. What's the next step? Like, what do you think that package could do even a little better at or clean up at? Or was there something that you missed, or what's just the next step for this for your integration?
I think, Coach K has had a lot of experience with working with two quarterbacks. And, I'm not sure what he has up his sleeve, moving forward in the season. But I know he's experienced with doing a lot of different stuff. And so I think the next step is really just continuing to develop and really just being able to do everything that he asked me to do, whether that's lining up at running back, receiver, quarterback, whatever that is, just trying to get good at all those areas. Because I'm going to be asked to do things like that, like you saw in the past game.
Audrey Snyder.
Hey, Bo, thanks for the time this morning. I wanted to kind of go back to when Andy got here. Obviously, we all kind of saw what he did at Kansas, but what was that like for you? And what was there a conversation, a moment where he was like, "Hey, like you're actually gonna have a role from the start of the season"? What was maybe that like if that happened?
Um, I think when Coach K first got here, it was, we never really had a conversation about it. I think it was just kind of known that it was something that he did. And, he actually helped, our coaching staff in the Peach Bowl for preparation with some of our two quarterback things that we did from that aspect. So I kind of knew that he liked doing stuff like that. But I just knew he was a very smart offensive coordinator, and he's used two quarterbacks before. So that was it pretty much, was known that he was going to do that this year for me.
Max Ralph.
Hey, Bo, thanks for the time. I just wanted to kind of follow up on your answer to Frank's question. I mean, you've lined up as a running back, as a wide receiver. We saw it already this week. Did you anticipate when you committed to Penn State years ago that you might turn into that kind of multi-positional player?
Not exactly, no. But I knew that, Penn State recruited me and they were always impressed with my athleticism. I played wide receiver my freshman year of high school, and was successful doing that. And they knew I was, kind of an all-around athlete. So, I'm of course I'm willing to do anything that can help the team, and it's, a lot of fun doing different things.
Seth Engel.
Hey, Bo, thanks for doing this. Wanted to ask you about the helmet communication. When you and when you and Drew are both on the field, how exactly does that work? When there are two quarterbacks there, and following on that, what's it like to have Coach K in your ear? Does he crack any jokes? Like, what's his demeanor like?
So when I go on the field, you're not allowed to have two helmet communications on the field at once. So I have to have different helmets. For when we have two quarterback things, I got to have a helmet without one in. When it's just me in the game, at the end, I do have to have, I was the only quarterback in the game, so I had to have a different helmet. So changing helmets, that's something that we actually practiced leading up to this game, just kind of switching helmets and getting used to that, because that's actually something that people might take for granted, but it's a big deal, especially for our equipment staff, and they did a great job with that. As far as Coach K in the ear, no, he doesn't really pop too many jokes. But I think for that, sometimes it's hard to hear, especially in loud atmospheres like that. So he really just tries to remain calm and try to be crystal clear with what he's saying. Because sometimes it gets hard to hear.
Daniel Matter.
But I appreciate you doing this. So before the season, you kind of mentioned how Andy helps you make the game kind of seem slower. I was wondering if that's something you noticed on Saturday, especially on your touchdown pass to Tyler.
I think so, yeah. The touchdown pass to Tyler, we repped in practice that week. And the scout team gave a great look, because it's basically the look that we got in the game. And just everything that Coach K does, as you guys saw this past Saturday, makes really everything stressful for the defense. It's not really us sitting back and adjusting to what the defense is doing. It's us attacking the defense and making them react to us. So that's made everything a lot easier from all aspects of our offense. And he does a great job of making our jobs easier.
Joe Smeltzer.
Hey, Bo, thanks for the time. So, kind of going back to the theme of your versatility and kind of the Swiss Army knife that you are in this offense, James mentioned yesterday the possibility of you getting reps at receiver. Obviously, you're a quarterback first, but is that something you've given thought to? And with your dad playing receiver at the college level, has he given you any advice on that?
No, my dad hasn't given me any advice on that. That's something, leading back to last year in the Peach Bowl, I played a little bit of receiver. And then this past game I did too. And then moving forward, I'm sure, I can do all different types of things like that. But I played, when I was a freshman in high school, my brother was the quarterback. He ended up playing University of Delaware and Sacred Heart. So I had to play receiver, and it's something that came really natural to me. It's something that, being a quarterback, you always have the ball in your hands. So, you usually have good hands, and it's just something that I was used to doing. So, having that ability to do that and doing different things like lining up at different positions just creates more stress for the defense.
Time for two more. Rich Carcella.
Oh, James and other people have been asked a lot about the wide receivers, so I'll go a different direction. what did you see from the offensive line in camp, and what did you see from the offensive line Saturday?
One thing that stood out to me on Saturday was how poised and how great the protection was. Obviously, you guys saw the run game and the explosive runs with Nick, but I think they were just super stout all day on Saturday with the protection, just creating big pockets. And then lanes to run for Drew on third down as well when nobody was open. But I was, very, impressed and not surprised with how well they did in protection on Saturday.
Tyler Donahue.
Beau, I know I asked earlier about your game day mindset, but this is the first time since you were at Central York where, from the first day of the game week to the last day, you're going to be involved there and you're going to have a chance to play early. I know you're a motivated guy, but is there any added motivation, pep in your step this year, just knowing that there is a role waiting for you Saturday and you don't really have to wait for Penn State to jump out to a 28-point lead to get on the field?
Like I said earlier, really, my mindset has been the same from the start ever since I was really a freshman. It's always preparing as if you're the starter. So that when my role is what it is now, nothing really changes and it's not a huge jump. So really just having a mindset like that from when I was young to now has made it easier just to transition mindset wise.